show, the BB African magazine.
Welcome to BB's African News Magazine show on Jambo Radio Scotland, where we bring you the good news and talk to the people leading positive change relevant to the Scottish African diaspora, the African diaspora in the UK and beyond. I'm George Tarr, sitting in for BB. Today on the show, we are talking about cervical cancer, which affects 1 in 3 women. Dr. Isioma Okolo is joining us on the show later on.
My name is Simon and I'm from Kenya originally, but I live in Glasgow.
First, thank you for coming on the show. You brought so much energy, joy, smiles. You've uplifted people's spirits.
Thank you so much.
Your smile is so infectious.
Thank you so much.
Who did you come with?
I came here with my family friends from Somerset, and they're over there. Hello.
Hi, Simon. Oh, amazing. How long have you been singing for?
I started singing since I was a little boy back in Kenya, and then I started being in a musical group called the African Children's Choir, and we used to come here in the UK when we were kids, and then started coming to Glasgow last year, and it's been great.
Well, I absolutely loved it, the energy in here.
Thank you so much.
And thank God that you came walking out of this. That was
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I enjoyed it. I'm looking for something. You know, time is getting on. I've only got a couple of places left, and but I loved it.
Thank you very much.
Honestly, you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Well, look, all I'm saying is Team Ollie's full of smiles. We smile a lot. And I'm always smiling, and I would love to add that smile to my team.
Okay.
And I would love you on my team because I don't feel like anyone has brought the energy you have brought, so you will light up any room you walk in. And I haven't got anyone like you on my team yet, so I'd love you on my team.
So, which coach would you like to pick?
I would definitely go for Polymers.
We have the Voice UK contestant Simon Sims in the studio to tell us about his remarkable journey from Kenya to Scotland, then to one of the biggest talent shows in the UK. Stay tuned.
This is Jambo Radio.
The excitement is building up as the date for the groundbreaking, first of its kind conference in Scotland gets closer. With 30 employers signed up, 20 plus speakers confirmed, and 500 delegates to attend. Welcome to the #IamBlack conference. The #IamBlack conference is a groundbreaking event focused on unleashing the power of black talent and employer brands in Scotland. Employers from various sectors, including finance, technology, engineering, legal, healthcare, arts, education and public sector, will have the opportunity to engage directly with new talents, learn about the changing trends within a diverse talent pool, discover, attract and retain new talents, and build relationships within the black community in Scotland. The #IamBlack conference is a full-day programme of inspiring keynotes, insightful panel discussions, game-changing masterclasses, and networking opportunities. The #IamBlack conference is on Monday 29th April from 9 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. at the Technology and Innovation Centre in the University of Strathclyde on George Street in Glasgow.
It is now 1 week since the Scottish Government hate crime legislation came into force in Scotland. Within 1 week, Police Scotland reports that they have recorded 240 legitimate hate crimes, majority being racist. With the hate crime law now in force in Scotland, Stop Racism. Join the conversation on 0141 430 2787, 0141 430-2787, or text or WhatsApp us on the telephone number 045-990-6822. That is text or WhatsApp us on here in the studio live 0745-990-6822. You can also call to participate. That is our phone in question this morning. It is, would the hate crime law now enforced in Scotland stop racism? That is a question that we would like to hear from you. What do you make of it? What do you think about it? What do you think this would do to affect racism, or perhaps some sort of derogatory or offensive words that are used? Does this also suppress free speech?
Redioni? Hakuna shida. Unataka kuwa na tabia ya vyombo vya habari? Hakuna shida. Je, ulitaka kuwa na sauti na maoni yako kusikilizwa na watazamaji? Hakuna shida. Una masuala unayodhani yanapaswa kuwa kwenye vyombo vya habari? Sawa, hakuna shida. Je, una wasiwasi kwamba hauna imani kuzungumza kwenye vyombo vya habari? Hakuna shida. Je, vyombo vya habari vinakuwakilisha maoni yako juu ya masuala yanayokuhusu binafsi? Hakuna shida. Jiunge Jambo Radio. Kwa kujitolea, utafunzwa, utaungwa mkono na nafasi ya kuwa na kipindi chako. Piga simu 0745-990-6822 ama tovuti ya www.jamboradio.co.uk.
Need security? Call Alpha One Plus Limited, a strategic security resourcing platform that connects you with licensed security personnel. We cater for our clients' security needs, from manned guarding, door supervision, event security, all the way up to close personal protection. Alpha One Plus Limited, your one-stop security solution. Call now at 44-074-2526-7909 or send us an email on info@alphaoneplus.com.
Established in 2006 as one of Glasgow's original mobile massage therapists, we deliver high-quality treatments with the ambition to forge permanent relations with clientele. We specialise in on-site massage, a type of treatment that has been specifically designed to complement the convenience and availability of massage at work. It is performed with the use of a specialist mobile chair, without the use of oils or the need to remove clothing. At Massage and Glow, we believe that massage should be a part of your everyday lifestyle. Regular massage not only relieves stress and tension, but also stimulates blood circulation, can help with pain management, and promotes good mental health. A must for your busy schedule. Various holistic therapies available. Contact us now on 07530 905 152 for your mobile massage therapist.
It is 1 week since the Scottish Government hate crime legislation came into force in Scotland. Within 1 week, Police Scotland reports that they have recorded 240 legitimate hate crimes, a majority being racist. Would the hate crime law now enforced in Scotland stop racism? That is the topic for today. That is what we want to discuss. And of course, we have Professor Mokami Macrom, MBE, is a former Chief Executive of Central Scotland Racial Equality Council, had worked in the equality team in the Scottish Government, now join us on the line. Good morning, Professor Mokami Macrom. What will this legislation change about racism in Scotland?
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me. Can I start by saying I am speaking in my capacity? Thank you for the introduction, but I'm not speaking on behalf of my previous employers. Yeah, if that is okay.
That's clear. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The question you are asking is really important, but I would like to start by saying this is not new in terms of, yes, this current legislation is new, but dealing with racism and prejudice and discrimination has been going on for a long time, long before my time here. And what any legislation does, it gives a signal to the people who experience discrimination that it is not okay, that there is a possibility of hope, they can get support, and the perpetrators can be dealt with. It also gives a signal to the country that it is not acceptable. But to assume that this is going to end racism overnight at a stroke, I think would not be correct, because you're talking about centuries of indoctrination and dogma on hatred of the other people, and a lot of money has been spent on training, on education, and on books, policies, strategies, laws, and yet we still, I feel particularly sad when I hear people who have just come to the country recently describing experiences those of us who came in the 70s experience. So I think there has to be much more than just legislation to end racism.
You've been a tireless campaigner on race equality in Scotland, and does this law on hate crime signifies progress?
In a way it does, because previous legislation, sometimes I feel a bit sad to think, if you go back to 1948 Declaration of Human Rights, if we just use the articles there, we would maybe treat each other better. Subsequent legislation over the years did not stop the murder of Ahmed Sheikh in Edinburgh, Cowgate, the murder of Stephen Lawrence, Choker, and many others that have died because of hatred. I think the progress comes in terms of, we have gone through waves when in the 70s politicians openly said things like swamping this country, the people in this country. Margaret Thatcher said the people in this country are worried about being swamped by peoples of other culture. So overnight, we became the target. Our culture was no longer exotic and people like to know about. It became something people were scared of. Then a lot of work was done, and policies and laws and strategies. And I think we became a bit complacent. We assumed things were getting better. But recently, we have seen the rise of really nasty right-wing sentiment, and the whole world woke up at the killing of George Floyd. And I'm not saying this is just Scotland. I'm not bringing other countries, assuming this law applies there, but I'm trying to paint a picture of a global problem. But in Scotland is known for championing many causes and leading the world. So I'm hopeful this would do the same, and give us a little breathing space. But we do need to do a lot of work. The complaints that have come up from people, we need to look at them critically if this is going to work, understand why. Is it they don't want to end racism because it's their doctrine, their dogma, or is it they don't understand, or is it the resources? What is it? And until we get to the bottom of that, it's going to be, if we don't get to the bottom of that, it's going to be just another piece of legislation.
Okay. And the other thing, what difference do you believe perhaps this law will make in our Scottish society and communities?
Well, it has. It's targeting. It's focusing on categories which were perhaps not highlighted before, and I can say more about age because this is the one I've looked at, and this is why it applies to me at the moment, because we those of us from minority ethnic background now are facing. We went through in the beginning in the workplaces, in the streets, and everywhere else. When you retired, you assumed all that is behind you, but you find it's here with us. So when you add on top of the other issues that affect older people, if you add racism to that, clearly we have something to deal with, and we are happy that it is included. So then now we can ask people, what are you doing about it? We can ask policymakers, why are you not focusing on our age in terms of racism? I can't speak about others because I haven't really studied them in detail, but I've just looked at,
And we have a comment on WhatsApp that came in. It's from David Chedimana, and he says, just in line with what you just said there, in terms of, what sort of, you've studied the one that kind of really close to you at this point in time. But there are other hate crimes, which is not, which applies differently to different groups and different, whether it's age, it's race, it's religion, it's beliefs, all that kind of stuff. So, and David is suggesting, well, I think his comment is that focus on racism, and then, but the hate crime focus on racism. It seems as if focus on racism, but it then excludes other sort of hate crime. Do you agree with that?
Do
you think the hate crime maybe omits perhaps some other? I think the focus on the hate crime. Do you see it as if it's just around race, or is it? But it looks like as if it's missing some other schisms. To say.
No, I don't see it as just as racism. I think it's sometimes I feel because racism is visible and we are more of a target. And people ignore the other issues, and everybody in every protected category is included, and they all have issues. They are discussing their specific points and making presentation to the government on their particular point. Race, gender, and racism are my area of I've been working on for a long time. So I can't speak with on authority about what is missing. But I know people in other categories, other protected categories, are making their presentation. They are not waiting for us to. They're not just taking it as it is. They're making the necessary. They're raising their concerns and making recommendations. But you see, all this actually boils down to how the law is implemented, how people interpret it. The enforcer, those who enforce the law, how they address it. My particular concern was when we moved to naming specific problems to putting them all in one basket. People lost focus of, and then people started competing different. Issues, areas of concern. Everybody wanted their own concern to be priority. So there isn't a sort of human angle approach to we are human beings. We have a right to be on this planet. We are back to specific to divisions and fighting our own corners.
Were you? Professor. Sorry to interrupt you here, just for the sake of time. Were you surprised about, given the fact that when this law came into force, just within that period of a week, there were that many reports on police reports on hate crime. Did you find that surprising, or what did you make of that?
Not surprising, because we know there is underreporting. People had reached a point where they don't report because they say, "What is the point?" Nothing is going to be done. Nobody is interested. Nobody cares. But this has given people perhaps a little sense of hope, confidence that something can be done. Now there is something to pin the crime on. So they will report. And obviously, because many people have not reported before, in time this will even out. We might get many reports coming up, and it's also people begin to understand. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I've never experienced racism," and I usually say that is very good, and it's good that people can live free of racism. But with imagination and empathy, you can know that other people have experienced it. So you can encourage people to. You can even report if it doesn't affect you. You can report to when you see it happening. It stops being just an issue of the victim. It becomes an issue of the society when people understand and accept. It's no longer it was never right, but it seemed to have been at one time most fashionable to call people names and kick them and push them about. But we are in 21st century. I think there's more enlightenment and sensibility. I think, let me say something about the people who say it's just name calling, it's nothing, it's not a big issue. And this is why people don't report. Even though I say, people sometimes you get called names and you just leave it. But people forget that the whole process of a man called Gordon Allport wrote a book called something about prejudice, and he listed the steps through which prejudice grows, and it starts with just interlocution, speaking badly about people, calling their name, and it goes on to the next step becomes you push people about, you avoid them. People joke about going onto a bus and then people moving away from the seat next to you. The next thing is you actively discriminate against people. Then when you reach that stage, you can actually physically attack people, whether it's pushing them, damaging their property, killing them. And finally, it's extermination and genocide. And we have seen all this happening. So we cannot say name calling is innocent, because it can lead to other things. Each stage, people become emboldened to do the next thing, to attack, to discriminate. And it becomes normal for them, and they are surprised. The people who say the freedom of speech,
yes,
really, they are asking for the freedom to abuse people. Surely, we have a baseline of what is decent. Nobody is denied the right to speak, but there is a way, or you cannot expect to just speak, insult people, humiliate people, actually incite hatred. And then you say it's your freedom to do that. That's not a human thing to do. It's not a kind thing to do. It's not a fair thing to do. To me, I think people lose a bit of their humanity if they think it's okay to do that.
Professor Mokami Macrom, MBA, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you've got a very busy morning, but I really appreciate your time for coming on and enlightening us on this hate crime. Really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope the show goes well. I'll try and listen in later on and hear what people say.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes. So the show will be on available on our website after this, so you can listen again. You can catch up with the show and just hear what hopefully the phone calls and what people are contributing on the subject, on the new law in Scotland on hate crimes, which came in force 1 week ago, and there's been a wonderful report from the police, from Police Scotland, of 240 legitimate hate crimes, which majority were racist. Now we are asking, with the hate crime law in force in Scotland, stop racism? You can join the conversation on 0141 530 2787, or text WhatsApp us on 0745 990 6822. This is the phone in topic this morning. Get on the phone and give us a shout. And if you're watching or listening to the show, Jambo Radio Scotland, I'm George Starr, sitting in over BB. With the hate crime law now in force in Scotland, stop racism. That's what we're asking this morning, and that is our phone in topic. Now, black women are 41% more likely to develop cervical cancer than white women. and are 75% more likely to die from it, according to the National Institute of Health. Joining me now to talk about cervical cancer is Dr. Isioma Okolo, who now joins us on the video. Good morning to you, Dr. Isioma Okolo. I know you don't like being called Dr. Isioma, but we appreciate you being on here. We appreciate you being on here. You're on Jambo Radio. Welcome again. I think you're on mute. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay. But I think the device is probably on mute. Right. While they're checking it out there. So let's try to bring back Dr. Isioma Okolo to tell us more about it. Dr. Isioma Okolo is a gynecologist, and she is a passionate campaigner on this subject, and she's going to enlighten us about this. This is based on the fact that 41% of black women are more likely to develop cervical cancer than white women, and they are 75% more likely to die from it, according to the national. Okay, according to the National Institute. Yeah, I think we do have Dr. Isioma Okolo. I think Jambo Radio is fast becoming another second office for you, Dr. Isioma, because of your expertise. I think, but we are glad that you're able to join us now. I think, am I right to think that you are joining us from Boston?
Yes, that's correct. So it's quite early for me, but that's okay. I
appreciate that. Thank you very much. What time is it then now, just for curiosity?
It's 6:30. 6:30.
Wow, that's an early start.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. As you know, but you're based here in Scotland, so but you're in Boston for other professional work. Now, so let's start by perhaps you should tell us what cervical cancer is, and I've just talked about from your field of specialism, you're a gynecologist and you work with a lot of women. What is cervical cancer and what are the symptoms? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you again for having me, George. Always good to see you. So cervical cancer is cancer affecting the neck of the womb, also called the cervix. So it's the entrance into the birth canal. And, globally, unfortunately, it's not an uncommon cancer. Specifically in Scotland, thankfully, the rates of cervical cancer are going down. What's important to say is no woman should ever die of cervical cancer, because this is a condition that is preventable and treatable if caught early. So how does cervical cancer tend to present? In Scotland, majority of people that present with cervical cancer, it will actually be picked up either because you have a change in your menstrual bleeding or you have vaginal discharge that is abnormal. What does this mean, right? So if you have normal discharge can be kind of clear or maybe a bit white. Anything that's any other color of the rainbow, you should be worried and you should absolutely go and seek medical advice. Another presentation of cervical cancer could be changes in your bladder or bowel function. So particularly if you notice when you're peeing, it's painful when you're peeing, it's stinging, you notice blood in your urine, if you notice any changes in your bowel habits, diarrhea, constipation, or even like bleeding in your stools, this is abnormal. Pain during intercourse as well can be a symptom, but often you would classically get bleeding. So this is the commoner symptoms. Some people, it's just picked up incidentally when they go for their cervical screening as well.
Okay, and can you tell what are the main causes of cervical cancer?
Yeah, so cervical cancer, majority of cancers are caused by this virus called the human papilloma virus. It causes more than 95% of cervical cancers. And this is a very common virus. Most of us, by the time we reach the age 60, about 2/3 of us would have been exposed to HPV. And
is that both men? Is that all gender?
All genders, genders. And this is because it's a very common virus, and it is, for most of us, our body will actually get rid of the virus, we will clear it. But for a small amount of us, unfortunately, this virus will cause changes in the cell structure around the cervix, inside the vagina. It can also cause other types of other types of cancers. So, for example, throat cancer and a lot. But changes that can then lead to cancer. So you get normal cervix, then a pre-cancerous stage, and then eventually cancer. Now, George, what's really important to acknowledge is that thankfully, in Scotland, the rates of cervical cancer are on the decline. However, in Black women, what we see is the Black women are more likely to be diagnosed with a later, more advanced stage of cervical cancer. Screening is the number one toolkit we have to prevent it. Screening and then the vaccination. So most people living in Scotland, if you're in school age, will get offered the HPV vaccination. And this is given to school-age children, girls at the moment, in some areas, boys as well. And this really can significantly reduce your risk of developing cervical cancer. And also, if you are exposed to the virus, you're more likely to fight it off. So screening is the number one defense. Then the next, sorry, not screening, vaccination. The next defense is the screening. So here in Scotland, the screening age is from age 25 to 64. And this is important regardless of whether or not you are sexually active. You have to go for your cervical cancer screening. This is offered every 5 years. And what does it involve? It involves going to a GP or seeing a practice nurse, having an internal examination with a speculum where we very gently have a look and obtain a specimen that's then sent off to the labs to check for whether you have this HPV virus. Now, we've changed the way we screen over the years. So now we're focusing initially on whether or not you have HPV virus or not. If you then are found to have HPV virus, you will then be invited to have further testing, and you may then have more frequent testing. But for most of us, you will come back with HPV negative, and what that means is then you get your screen every 5 years. And that should be protected for most people.
And what are the warning signs of cervical cancer, if anyone would perhaps suspecting?
Yeah, so I think the key warning sign would be any abnormal bleeding. So, if you have a regular menstrual bleeding, regular periods every month or every couple of months, and you notice a change, that should be a key warning sign. So heavier bleeding in between your periods. If you have bleeding after intercourse, this is very important to report. Pain during intercourse as well, bleeding in your urine or in your bowels, any unexplained weight loss. These are the kinds of symptoms. And actually, when you look at the data on cervical cancer, there's really 3 reasons people are more likely to get cervical cancer. There's 3 delays. Number 1, delay in deciding to go get screened. Delay in actually getting the screening, and then actually when you physically are there to be screened, delay in actually accessing care. So the decision making, first of all, this is the most important thing I want people to go away with. When you receive your screening invitation from the GP, book that appointment and go and see your GP. Because currently, right now in the UK, every day, 2 women in the UK die from cervical cancer, and the test only takes 5 minutes.
Wow.
And this test can literally stop cervical cancer before it starts. Cervical cancer, nobody will ever die of cervical cancer. Even if you've had your HPV vaccine, you have to go for the test. And the test is a very easy test. It's much quicker than, for example, some people may people often will go and get like waxed and things like that. Much easier, much quicker, and this could literally save your life. So don't delay, absolutely go and see. Many women within our communities are scared. They are scared about the pain. They're scared about the invasiveness, and you can take things at your own pace. And what I advise people, when you get invited for your smear test, you might find it more comfortable to wear loose clothing or like a skirt, for example. You might want to take a paracetamol before going, but it's not a very painful procedure at all, George. It's not. And there are many things the nurses and the doctors can do to help you. We have different sizes of devices we can use to examine you. We use gel to lubricate the instruments we use so it's more comfortable. So 5 minutes of your life every 5 years could literally stop you dying from cervical cancer. So please, my key message is go for your smear test.
Go for your smear test, and I think that is very loud and clear, Dr. Isioma Okolo. I mean, can you what sort of? I think I'm asking this question based on perhaps demographics and also kind of age, and which women is at the highest risk for cervical cancer?
So
Yeah.
in general, overall, when we look at all women, it's younger women. So younger women are more likely to be diagnosed with cervical cancer. And so women, I would say in their 30s, I would say late 30s as well. And so other risk factors for cervical cancer are things like smoking. Smoking impacts your body's ability to fight off the virus, so it makes you more vulnerable getting the HPV virus, and less likely to fight it off. It's very important with cervical cancer. So whether or not you are sexually active, so even if you're a virgin, you should go for your smear test. However, if you are in a sexual relationship, you should be using protection and also getting your general screens for general sexually transmitted infections. We don't offer any screening for HPV as a STI, if you see what I mean. It's any kind of screen for cervical cancer. But regardless of that, we should all be engaging. If you are somebody who's sexually active, you should be engaging in safe sex by using condoms and going for regular STI checks for other infections, chlamydia, gonorrhea, HIV, syphilis, and the lot. So we should all be taking responsibility for our sexual health.
And HPV is not considered as one of STD tests that can be done.
It's not because it's so common. Most of us have been exposed to it at some point in our lives, and you don't need to have, for example, penetrative intercourse to get HPV.
Okay, that's interesting. So you can get HPV by. No, it's not necessary that you have it from
physically touching, genital touching, that kind of thing. So it's very important. In general, we should all be practicing safe sex and things like that. And this is why we don't screen for the virus in STI screens, because it's so common, and most of us will fight it off at some point in our lives. A very small group of people, it will then evolve, will get it, and then it will then become cervical cancer.
Yeah, and just to kind of emphasize on the HPV side before we move on to the next question. So can a man give a woman HPV?
Absolutely. And in many parts of the world, so I spoke about the vaccination as the first line of defense. So in many parts of the world, boys and girls are being vaccinated. And also, a lot of the times when we are talking about, so HPV affects men and women. Absolutely. And HPV can cause many other types of cancers. So obviously cervical cancer is the commonest one. It can cause oral cancer and throat cancer. It can also cause anal cancer as well. So this is something that affects everybody. So unfortunately at the moment, I guess because of the prevalence of the condition, the screening for HPV is targeted to people who are assigned female at birth. Okay, meaning people who have cervixes at the moment in the UK. It's not routinely offered to everybody.
It's not routinely offered. So are there prevention measures? Preventive measures that women can take, or maybe everyone.
Preventive measures really would be practicing safe sex, really. So using condoms will reduce your chance of exposure to HPV. But even with condoms, it's not 100% effective. Like I said, smoking cessation. So if you smoke, absolutely cut that down, because it weakens your immune system. And again, so that's more the prevention. Again, early detection. So if you notice any, and obviously going for your screening, if you notice any changes in your bleeding, pain after intercourse, you must report this to a GP, because there is a stage before cervical cancer. This is the pre-cancer stage, which is treatable. And this is really what we're trying to pick up.
Right.
Do you have HPV or not? And if you have HPV, what is the chance this is going to then lead to the pre-cancer stage? So that screening and early detection can help essentially pick up a group of people who we can treat. This treatment involves various things, taking maybe basically a treatment to the cervix to cut out that area that's impacted, can then also prevent you developing cervical cancer. So it's very, very important. Go for your screening. If at your screening anything is picked up, continue to go for the treatments and screens that you're offered.
And finally, is this cervical cancer curable?
So it is. So for for a lot of people, when it's picked up in the early stages, you have what's called 4 different stages of cervical cancer. The earliest stages would be stage 1, 2, 3, and a bit of maybe 3.5, right? Once you get to stage 4, the cancer has spread to other parts of the body. Okay. Stage 1 and 2 for many people is curable, and what this would involve for most people would be surgically taking out the uterus, that's the womb and surrounding organs. This is called a hysterectomy. It's a kind of hysterectomy called a radical hysterectomy, which means you take away the womb and some of the other surrounding tissues and organs. And for many people, that is curative. Absolutely curative. Some people will then go on to need additional treatment, whether it's in the form of often radiotherapy, if you do need additional treatment. So the earlier stages of cervical cancer, when it's smaller, when it hasn't spread as much, are more curable. But the key thing we want to do is to prevent people getting cervical cancer, because like I said, no woman and no person assigned female at birth should die of cervical cancer in this day and age, where we have vaccination programs, where we have screening, and Scotland is doing very, very well in the screening program and catching up in the vaccination program. And obviously, I know this is Jambo Radio, so we need to shout out other parts of the world so for example, Rwanda globally is doing extremely well in the screening program and the vaccination program. So globally, we're making massive strides in making sure, women don't die of this preventable disease, because in many parts of the world, women survive pregnancy, which can be quite dangerous, only to die of cervical cancer. And what a huge tragedy that is. So thank you for making space and creating this platform so that people know a bit more about their smear test. So when you get your appointment, go for your cervical screening. Don't be scared. 5 minutes of your life could change the rest of your life.
There is nobody more qualified to talk about this than Dr. Isioma Okolo. She's gynecologist, and of course, I think it's very important. The preventive measures are very important. Go for your cervical cancer, for your cervic test, or what? Smear test.
Your cervical smear test. Just say go for your smear test.
Go for your smear test when you get a letter from your GP. And for those of and of course, so Rwanda is making progress on that. What about the black community in Scotland? I mean, you work in Scotland, so how? You mentioned some things about I don't know if it's skeptical or scared of that invasion of privacy, and also. So what do you find?
Yeah, so we find that, there's actually been some research for ethnic minority communities of understanding what is it that prevents people from going. And this key thing is fear. Maybe your auntie or your sister told you they had a bad experience. Majority of people who go for their smears have a positive experience. There's also conversation you had with Professor Mukami, MBE earlier. There's also a fear about how people will be treated when they go for their smear test. So I really welcome this new ruling against hate crime, because unfortunately we know institutional racism is one of the reasons why Black people and ethnic minority people engage differently with healthcare, because there's a worry that we will be treated differently. So all these measures that Scotland are moving forward around equality and making sure it is a safe, inclusive environment for everybody will have a positive knock-on effect on Black women and Black people who may be at risk of cervical cancer. So it's not that difficult. 5 minutes, and if you feel that you've been treated badly, there are ways that you can escalate these concerns, but do not allow somebody's potential bad treatment ruin the rest of your life. Go for your cervical smear test for 5 minutes. If you're treated badly, I hope you're not. Escalate that appropriately, and make sure your sisters, your aunties, your moms all go for their smear test.
Absolutely. Given that 41% of Black women are more likely to develop cervical cancer, and then 75% more likely to die from it. So it's very important that they can take preventive measures by testing. And of course, do you find that some of the reason why people, perhaps women from the Black community in Scotland are perhaps worried about the experience of someone that they must have heard, that keeps them apart? Is that also aligned with culture, or what do you think that is?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good point, Jordan. I think that's something we have to talk about. There are probably some cultural barriers to screening. Maybe maybe people think perhaps if you are, for example, not sexually active, you don't need to go for your smear test. That's not true. Also, maybe some people have some views around what the smear test actually is doing. There are some people who I've heard express concerns for their daughters taking the vaccination because they worry that this might encourage promiscuity and the lot. And this is absolutely false. What the vaccination will do will protect your daughters, your aunties, and your mothers from cervical cancer. And what the screening will do is the exact same. So kind of trying to police women's sexuality under the guise of culture, unfortunately, is something within some cultures that also promotes this disparity as well. So it's multifaceted. There's the individual, there's the healthcare professional that they're intersecting with, but there's also the health system that they're operating with. So we need to challenge some myths and taboos within our communities around sexual health and reproductive health and women's health. Okay, often we talk about these things in hushed tones. So I love that you've invited me bright and early on Jambo to talk about this. But we all need to be talking about cervical cancer, whether or not you are a woman or assigned female at birth, because as a man or somebody who doesn't have a cervix, your awareness of cervical cancer could help your sister, your mother, your wife, your partner, your auntie. So it's very important. So we need to challenge the kind of taboos within our cultures that mean the stigma. Maybe if somebody goes for their smear test, it means they're a promiscuous person. Absolutely not. It means they are very responsible and they're taking full control of their health and also the health of their family as well.
And what do you think we can do to contribute in that change of perhaps the taboos to improve people's knowledge on on this?
Yeah. So there's many things. One, having this on a platform as visible as the radio is one. Two, there's a lot of work going on social media, but there's also a lot of misinformation. So I think we need to think about how we educate people in various platforms, not just in school or classrooms or in when you go to see your GP or your nurse. I think we need to embrace the social media trend, but also be careful because our communities are more vulnerable to misinformation. I always talk about during the pandemic, the WhatsApp aunties. I mean, every day I was getting a message or two. The conspiracy theories from the WhatsApp aunties were like,
above. Yes.
But I actually think when you hear myths, right? People's myths about healthcare, as opposed to being like, oh my God, that's so primitive. What are they thinking? I think we should be curious. A myth is a way people make sense of what's going on. So and try to understand why is it that you think that. And actually, when people explain to you how they've come from A to Z, and if there's a barrier in between, that way you're more likely to kind of change their mind as opposed to just saying, oh no, that's wrong, you shouldn't do this. You need to maybe have these conversations. And also, I work with, as well as being a clinician, I also do community engagement, and I'm a director at CRISA, Women of African Descent. And CRISA has done a lot of work around intergenerational engagement and learning. So I think this is another way we can improve things, because for some people, actually, for women and people with cervixes, we find actually the men in our life are allies and supporting us to do these things, but maybe the judgment and the fear from the women in our lives around some of our behaviors around health is actually a barrier. So we need to also use intergenerational learning in different platforms, online, in person, on social media. Let's target those like WhatsApp auntie groups. Let's infiltrate them with good, informed, evidence-based evidence.
Absolutely, accurate information.
WhatsApp aunties on. Yes, let's invite the WhatsApp aunties on Jambo Radio and have a conversation. Talk me through this. How did you get, Auntie? How did you get from X to Z? Tell me how you did that, and then let's have that conversation.
Absolutely, I think that's a very good suggestion. So we will take I think we will take up that as well. Dr. Isioma Okolo, thank you very much for coming on. It's always a pleasure tapping into your brain and and hearing all the good work that you're doing, and we much appreciate you for all that you do. And when you're back in Scotland, let's catch up, and then we can take up that idea of maybe for a phone in to have you in the studio, and you talk to to have people answer you, basically to have people ask you their concerns, and then you can respond, especially on your specialism as a gynecologist, and of course talking on this topic on cervical cancer.
No problem. Thanks, George.
Much appreciate you. Yeah. And if you are listening or following the show on the Jambo Radio social media, you can send us a DM. On the Facebook, we are Jambo Radio Scotland. On Twitter, we are Jambo Radio Scott. And on Instagram, we are jamboradio.scotland. You can also email us info@jamboradio.co.uk. If you haven't yet, you can now download Jambo Radio Scotland mobile app, which is available in App Store for those of you on iPhone or iOS devices, and Google Play for Android devices.
Need security? Call Alpha One Plus Limited, a strategic security resourcing platform that connects you with licensed security personnel. We cater for our clients' security needs, from manned guarding, door supervision, event security, all the way up to close personal protection. Alpha One Plus Limited, your one-stop security solution. Call now at 44-074 2526 7909 or send us an email on info@alphaoneplus.com.
Established in 2006 as one of Glasgow's original mobile massage therapists, we deliver high-quality treatments with the ambition to forge permanent relations with clientele. We specialise in on-site massage, a type of treatment that has been specifically designed to complement the convenience and availability of massage at work. It is performed with the use of a specialist mobile chair, without the use of oils or the need to remove clothing. At Massage and Glow, we believe that massage should be a part of your everyday lifestyle. Regular massage not only relieves stress and tension, but also stimulates blood circulation, can help with pain management, and promotes good mental health. A must for your busy schedule. Various holistic therapies available. Contact us now on 07530 905 152 for your mobile massage therapist.
Ushawahi tamani kuwa mtangazaji wa redio? Hakuna shida. Umewahi kuwa na show yako redioni? Hakuna shida. Unataka kuwa na tabia ya vyombo vya habari? Hakuna shida. Je, ulitaka kuwa na sauti na maoni yako kusikilizwa na watazamaji? Hakuna shida. Una masuala unayodhani yanapaswa kuwa kwenye vyombo vya habari? Sawa, hakuna shida. Je, una wasiwasi kwamba hauna imani kuzungumza kwenye vyombo vya habari? Hakuna shida. Je, vyombo vya habari vinakuwakilisha maoni yako juu ya masuala yanayokuhusu binafsi? Hakuna shida. Jiunge Jambo Radio. Kwa kujitolea, utafunzwa, utaungwa mkono na nafasi ya kuwa na kipindi chako. Piga simu 0745 990 6822 ama tovuti ya www.jamboradio.co.uk.
Simon Sims is a Kenyan musician and sensational Glasgow busker. Last year, he was on The Voice UK representing Scotland and Kenya. In fact, you were representing Africa, and went through to the first round in the competition. He impressed the blind audition coaches with his rendition of Ed Sheeran's uplifting African-inspired song "Bibi Biya Biyeye," which he wrote with Fuse ODG, and is sung in one of Ghanaian languages, Twi. Simon emerged powerfully in the blind auditions, but where does his journey to the UK #1 talent show began? Before we hear the answers to that question, first let's listen to the Simon Sims version of Bibi Biya Biyeye.
I lost my shoes last night. I don't know where I put my keys. I was tired, I fell asleep beneath an oak tree. I bet my mother's proud of me, from its scar upon my knuckles and its crest upon my knees. All I know, I got a cab and then to have upon his car seat. He kicked me out and then I walked in the Baby, I be yeah, yeah. Baby, I be yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, I be yeah, yeah. Now things are looking up, I found my shoes right next to the oak tree. That get up as when it is found. Baby, I'm tired of looking around for the things that I left on the ground. Stay you with me, tomorrow's a brand new day. Brand new day.
Wonderful. That is Simon Sims' version of Ed Sheeran's very uplifting African-inspired song "Bibi Bia Biye," which Ed Sheeran wrote this with Fuse ODG. If any of you can remember when Afrobeat just started, Fuse ODG is one of the OD or OG of that genre of music, and he sang in mixed in Twi, which is a Ghanaian language. Interestingly, Simon Sims now joins me in the studio. It's wonderful to have you. Can I just say, Simon, we announced you last week, but you couldn't. You were not able to make it because you were down with the cold. But it's good to have you in the studio. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you so much.
Excellent, wonderful. So your music journey is fascinating because you started as a child, isn't it? So talk us through that.
My name is Simon Sims, and I'm from Kenya originally.
Yes.
But my music really started when I was about 12 in a school choir. I'm from Kenya, and education is not for free.
Yes.
So there's this amazing couple from Scotland actually that started a charity school, and I was able to go there, and they started a school choir, and I was part of that group called the Singing Children of Africa. She used to bring kids in the UK to sing and fundraise for the school back in Kenya. And I think my interest and passion for music started from there.
Wonderful. So your passion and interest, and the African children choir is also a well-traveled group, isn't it? Because you've had experience traveling out of Kenya with that group, and I think how many were there in the group?
So when we started, when I was about 12 or 13, we used to be like 25 kids, and then about 3 or 4 adults that would come along to just sort of look after us when we were on tour. And it was beautiful. It was an experience for me, or for us as kids from Kenya, to be able to travel out of the country. It was like a dream come true.
Absolutely. And then you ended up living in Scotland, in Glasgow now, and you busk around. I think quite a few people will know you on the street busking. And how did that journey? How did you make the choice of coming to live in Scotland?
So after completing my high school studies, I went back to Jolorabi, which is a school that I went to.
Yes.
To work as a music teacher, and I worked with the Singing Children of Africa as a music teacher.
Wow, okay.
So that was very very good, but at some point I needed to do something for myself. So I got a job in Devon.
Okay. In Devon, in England?
In England,
okay.
And I worked there for 1 year, but I didn't do anything related to music, which was quite strange for me because I'm a very musical
Yes, and as a child, you've always been growing up with music.
Yes, but I was very much humbled because I worked in the kitchen for 1 year. And then COVID started, went back home and applied for another course in Scotland.
Okay.
And that's how I managed
that's for kind of personal development.
Yeah. And my friend Patrick introduced me to busking because it was during this heavy lockdown season when everybody was so stressed and depressed. And he said, you know what, let's go out, let's go cheer people up. And I didn't really know.
And your friend Patrick is a busker, or
he does like busking as evangelizing, as a way of evangelizing.
Okay.
So
yes,
because I'm a Christian, and we did a lot of that, and that's how I remember I started singing with him, and there was hardly people there, but when I started singing, there was a very good reaction. People were, they were giving lots of money, and I was like, this is
wonderful. Busking is wonderful.
This is wonderful. So it just sort of grew up from there, and I knew this was exactly what I wanted to do.
That's where you want to be.
Yeah. And then I moved to Glasgow because we used to busk in Paisley.
Okay.
It's a very small town. There's hardly people there.
Yeah.
But when I moved to Glasgow, I just fell in love with busking, and it's been the best thing.
The reaction, the friendliness, the people make Glasgow brand actually worked in your busking. And is that the reception you get every day, or?
Yes, surprisingly, yes. When I busk, it's like I'm new there every time. I meet up new people, and there's people that come a long way to come and see me. There's so many buskers in Glasgow. Obviously they're very, very good, but to be able to have good reaction from people, or people telling you, I've traveled all the way to come and see you,
it's a blessing.
It's such a blessing. And every day I busk, I feel like I'm meeting new people every day, and the reaction is absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful.
Wonderful. Now we go The Voice. So what made you to make the choice to go on The Voice?
The Voice. I didn't make a choice.
Okay.
Caroline, who runs the Buskers of Glasgow page on Facebook.
Right, yes.
She does an amazing job. She films buskers and puts them online, and if you're good, you get gigs, and you get so many opportunities through that. She posted one of my first videos, actually. I think I was singing Tennessee Whiskey and I'll Never Fall in Love Again by Tom Jones, and it sort of went viral on Facebook. And I think there's people called talent scouts online.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
And I remember getting a call from this random lady, and said, we are casting for Britain's Got Talent, because that's what came first before The Voice. And would you be able to? And I was like, yes, please. So I did, my online auditions and everything. That's how you start. You do online auditions, because it was during heavy lockdown as well.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that, but I was not able to go through because of my visa situation at that point.
Right. Okay.
But after a few months, I got the voice call again. So it was like...
So you were popular now.
I was popular.
Very popular.
Things are working out so well.
Yes, at the very, very top of entertainment, basically.
Yeah, it was really... It was very, very nice. I felt so good to be able to, For me, it was like, I've never done these things before, so I'm not going to be, nervous or anything. I'm just going to go for it, because you never know. So the voice came through, and it went successful. And obviously I did my blind, but before the blind audition, there's like a process.
The process
where you sing online, you go sing for the producers in Manchester, and
just tell. Yes, I mean, let's talk about the process of you before you go on the live show on the live show before we watch it on TV. So just talk us through that process, just in case there's somebody aspiring to go in there, or perhaps they're worried about. Let them know the process.
The process actually is not that difficult. You cooperate with them, and everything works out perfectly. Obviously, I don't know if it was because of COVID or that's just how they do it. I don't know. But for my case, I had to do at least 2 auditions online. Like they organized a Zoom meeting.
A Zoom meeting,
and I was able to sing for vocal coaches. And then they don't tell you you've gone through.
No, they don't. Okay.
They always tell you, thank you so much, Will. You'll get.
Oh, that's it. They don't even no feedback.
Nothing back. You'll get to hear from us if you've gone through. Okay, thank you so much. So you wait and wait. And then After that, they also do another Zoom interview, and then obviously
apologize for that.
If you've gone through, they call you and say you've gone through. Now you can come to Manchester.
So basically, when you've done that kind of we've done the Zoom auditioning, and you go to bed, you don't know whether what has happened, whether you've done well, until you get a call.
Until you get a call,
yes. And if you don't get a call, that's it.
If you don't get a call, you get an email to say, thank you for participating. Try next time. But yeah, I did get a call, and they said you can come to Manchester to audition to perform for the producers.
Okay.
So it's not on TV, but it's just like for producers.
Yeah, for producers, basically in a room.
In a room, and you're competing against so many talented people out there.
Wow.
But
so they invite all the other talents.
All the other talents, but you don't get to see them.
Okay.
And this is the good thing about The Voice. They have a strategy, and it's very organized.
Wow.
So they call maybe 5 people to come and sing at that specific time or different timing as well.
Okay,
so when I was there, I was only able to meet, I think, 2 people. And I was like, are these the only people that I'm competing against? But they had a strategy. So other people
they will pick out the best from different cohorts. Perhaps that's what they would do. Okay. Yeah. That's a good strategy. Yeah.
And then after that, you don't get to hear from them because they also say, thank you for coming. We'll see you next time if you've gone through. And I'm like,
oh my God. Yeah. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So now at that stage in time, until when you hear, you get a phone call that you're coming through again for at what point do you get to go to the studio, for us to be able to watch on television?
Yeah. So after that,
is that stage 3?
Stage 3, they take a long time, and for me, I think. I'm a very patient kind of a person.
Yes, but I remember our conversation that you told me that you might have a chance to be on The Voice, and I said we'll pray for you. We're hoping that, fingers crossed, you go on it. But that was it took about a year before you went on before the show actually came on.
Yeah. It was oh gosh.
Yes. We spoke in 2000. We spoke about it in 2002 in the studio, and when you came the first time, and then we had a chat, and then you say, because I asked you what's the plan, and you say, well, you're hoping that this will be a positive outcome, and then you'll be able to go because you've already been through the process. So you were just waiting to see whether you'll be on the live show. 2002, then 2003,
2023, 2002. I was
my God. No, 2002. You're a baby then, isn't it? 2022. We spoke about it. Then 2023 is when you actually went on the show.
Yes.
And so that took about a year. I think the essence and the importance for this conversation is just for other aspiring talent from our community who might be listening should know that patience is a big thing. You talked about patience there, so you were very patient.
I was very patient. When I auditioned when I went to Manchester to audition for the producers, I sort of I was like, I'm just gonna get this out of my mind and focus on other things, because when you're patiently waiting for something, it becomes
anxiety can come in. You don't want to put exactly.
So at one point I'm at a KFC because I love KFC. I was at a KFC.
Who doesn't like chicken? Every black man likes chicken.
Every African loves chicken. I'm in a KFC and I get this unknown call, and I was like, oh gosh, what is this? So I picked it up, and it's you get contact people on The Voice, and and this lady says, I'm calling from The Voice. And I'm like, have I gone through? And they're like, yes, it's good news. You have gone through, and we are gonna, sort, your travel and accommodation and everything, so you can come to Manchester for rehearsals.
So Manchester is where they record.
Manchester is where the audition, the blind audition.
The blind audition happens live. Okay.
So yeah, I was so excited. I remember I was like, oh gosh, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for this. I was crying on the phone.
Oh,
and the lady was like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. You've worked hard for it. We are looking forward to seeing you. She hangs up the phone and I'm like, yes. And everybody in the KFC restaurant is like, is he okay?
What? Yeah.
So,
you did go on the street like, I'm better!
Because they also want you to keep it very discreet. Like you cannot say it to anybody that you're doing the voice.
Yes.
You have to keep it shut for almost a year.
Oh, you don't have to. When they tell you that you're going to come on the show, you don't have to tell anybody.
No, you are not allowed.
Okay.
You are not allowed to put it anywhere on social media.
Don't post about it.
Don't talk about it to anyone.
Publicize it like,
No. They will tell you when to say
do that. Okay.
But it took a year for them, to come because this is a spoiler. Our show was not live.
Right.
It's usually filmed before.
Yeah. Well, we I think
you figured that out.
Yeah, I figured that out. Yes. But I think what I mean by live, and which is a context that in most of the time people watching programs, they don't know that even Match of the Day is filmed earlier.
Yes.
So those when you're watching it at that time at 10 p.m. it's when they're broadcasting it.
Yeah.
That's a transmission time, so it's live for us, for those that are watching. But I understand that the behind the scene work. So go ahead. So you filmed and then you're waiting to watch.
Yes. So they call you for rehearsals. So you go there and work with the band, the voice band.
The voice band,
so
yes.
Amazing band. So obviously they choose a song for you and say this is a song you're gonna sing.
Is that the production team?
The production team, they reach out to you and say this is the song we think it's gonna suit your voice.
Yeah.
And when they gave me BB by Ed Sheeran, I had no clue what that song was about, who sang it, and I said, it's not for my voice. And they were like, oh, we think it's gonna suit your voice. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I worked with them, and they give you a freedom of exploring your voice,
with the song,
with the song.
Okay.
And if you want to add something into the song, and so every bit I put in that was like an idea that with my voice, I wanted to explore my voice. I wanted to show what I was capable of.
Can I just say you did a fantastic job, because I've listened to the original. As I was saying to you earlier, off microphone, I've never heard that song until you sang it on that show. And then I was like, wow, what song is this? I remember when the show is broadcast, and then I think about a week later, I sent you a text message to say, wow, that song was wonderful. And then you said to me, that's a Ghanaian song, isn't it? Then I went like, what's a Ghanaian song? Give me the song title. I watched the video back to back. That's my wife, she will tell you. I watched it back to back in the house. Wow. And then I was like, that's my guy doing this stuff, but I need to know where this song is coming from. That's Simon's original stuff, because I initially thought it was your original, your stuff. So it's only when you at the end that when you replied to my message, and I thought, okay, let me check the song out, because on the show they actually did not mention that. They did mention the singer. Yes. Singer. But and then it's my finding that I saw. I noticed that. I realized that it's done by Ed Sheeran, because it's not one of Ed Sheeran's songs that's out there and massive, but you did a wonderful job. Talk us through when you are there, and then do you get to meet the judges before at any point?
No,
not in rehearsals.
Not at the rehearsals.
You don't get to see where I am.
No. On the rehearsals, you get to work specifically the band,
with just the band,
and a vocal coach who is there to make you warm up and prepare, or say ask the vocal coach what you want in that particular song. And I was very.
How long is that process? Sorry, I've never done music production, but I also want to.
You want to audition for the voice?
Please, How long does that take? Does that take? For example, you've been given this song, and say, Simon, we think this song is gonna be good with your voice.
Yeah.
It's a test, isn't it? And then also, like, how long would it take for you to work with the band and the vocal coach to do? Is it a whole day thing? 5 hours, 2 hours?
No, actually, it doesn't take that long because they give you the song maybe 3 weeks earlier, or 2 weeks prior the actual rehearsals, and you work with the song on your own, and then you go there to sort of brush it up and say, this is what I want, this is what I want to put, this is the beat I want. Actually, they play it live for you, and then they record the part and send it to you and say, go and practice and let us know what you want, if you want to add something or omit something, then let us know. So it doesn't take that long. I think you have like an hour slot with in
the rehearsal,
the whole thing, the whole rehearsal thing.
Right.
So it wasn't that long. Sometimes we will go to Manchester, but when you get to the next round, you go to London, Battersea. Battersea
Studios. Yes, it's very famous.
That's also another place where we did lots of rehearsals.
Okay, why do you go to Battersea Studio for?
Because they film the second round there.
Oh,
they
okay. Battersea Studio is quite massive. In fact, in my career, I've actually worked there. So but it was good. It's a wonderful experience. Wonderful place to work as well.
It is.
A lot of creative people, man.
Very.
You got to be up to your level. But I think it might be simple for you to say that it doesn't take that long, maybe because you're super talented, and then you could work out with all these things. But people start music at very different stages in their life. Some their aspirations at a very young age, and then by the time they get to really start the process, but you have been in the process because you've been in the children choir. And so, but maybe you could pick up a song very quickly. Maybe the band was easy to work with you because they could see that that you already have a lot of experience as a child, and then now as an adult you're able to adapt those things into place. With someone that is just starting, perhaps is starting in the kind of late teen, it's a completely different ball game, isn't it?
It is. I think for the people that didn't grow up singing, it might have been a challenge to work with the band, because that could be very
because that would have probably perhaps the first time to work with a live band. Meanwhile, something you would have done with the choir.
I did that with the Singing Children of Africa, and it's funny because we did pure a cappella music. We didn't do any instrumental, but I was part of a band in my church. And I think that gave me a lot of experience as well, as an independent singer of right now. So that gave me lots of experience.
I tell you what, I think you'll be a brilliant mentor to a lot of really young aspiring artists, especially artists from our communities here in Scotland. Let's hear one of your songs, and this is the original material from Simon Sims.
Thank you.
Simon is still here, so we still got about 7 minutes with him. So if you want to phone the studio live to ask Simon experience, if you're an aspiring musician, or if you are a musical evangelist like me, you can call the studio live. The number is 01415302787. That's the number to call. We're also asking the question today about the new Scottish government law, which is in place now for a week, and about the hate crime law, which is now enforced in Scotland. Would the hate crime law now enforced in Scotland stop racism? To join the conversation, number is 0141 530 2787, or you can text or WhatsApp us on 045 990 6822. So we got a text message earlier from David Chedemaya Mana, who is he's a keen listener of the show and follows the show a lot and contributes a massive contribution. Each week he tries to make a contribution. And David sent a text saying hate crime must include all hate, the focus on racism, He's wonder why the focus is on racism. That's what the message says. Where have the others gone? Well, which is the other hate, other hate sort of offensive language. Hatred cannot be stopped by law, according to David Chedemana. So again, he cited some example. So well-meaning legislation, but without compliance, is meaningless. That's David's assessment of the new hate crime, which is now enforced in Scotland. Let's listen to Simon Sims.
Urahisi mwingi kuniacha baba, wewe wa maana. Magari, mapesa, harufu sinifanye ni kusahau wewe. Sababu ni mimi, nilisema ukinibariki sitakuacha, sitakufuru, sitasahau. Sababu ni mimi, nilisema ukinibariki sitakuacha, sitakufuru, sitasahau. Here I am, Jesus, to give you glory, to give you thanks and the honor. Here I am, Jesus, to give you glory, to give you thanks and the honor. It's all about you.
There is by Simon Sims. Simon is here in the studio with us. I mean, that's one of your very, very old songs. You're saying, yeah. So when was this done? And this is kind of a more gospel.
It's a gospel song. It's called "It's All About You, Jesus." This was released in 2020.
Wow! 2020. So this song is 4 years.
4 years old.
We need to upgrade our library, guys. Come on, Simon's done some stuff. You need to feed that into the studio. Yes, you need to feed that into the studio. Yeah. Yes. Now that's wonderful. So, I think I don't know what's happening. I see they're getting some feedback there. So I mean, what's been the reception? Obviously you had really good feedback from the coaches when you were on The Voice, so since leaving The Voice, what's been the reception back in Scotland, in Glasgow?
I think obviously when you're in that kind of a show, you have so many expectations because it's a bigger show, and it's got a very massive audience. You sort of have expectations. You think you will reach for the stars and become but it's difficult nowadays because there's so many talents. There's so many talents out there. Yes, it really is. But I feel some people are looking for specific things in singers, and I think for me, I'm blessed enough, and I'm very grateful to God that maybe they see something in me, and I think that show has given me a platform that I didn't have before the show. Yeah. And I'm able to get lots of gigs. I'm getting booked.
You're getting booked?
Lots.
Proper professional
fee, and but it's I enjoy, as much as I enjoy basking, but getting booked with professional gigs.
Yes, is that when is that weddings
and festivals?
Okay.
I do a lot of charity gigs because I love giving back.
Yes, of course.
Being raised in a charity.
School, I mean, because you've been a beneficiary of good causes. Yeah. So you also want to kind of contribute back. Yes, absolutely.
So I have so many charity events lined up for this summer.
Wonderful.
So I'm
Wonderful.
looking forward.
You're a
to
busy
that.
man.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Yes. No, we give all thanks to God for the for the opportunity, and I think it's a long way as well, isn't it?
It is.
It's a long way.
Yeah.
How do people back home in Kenya see you now?
I don't know really, because
you've not been back since after The Voice.
Never been. I think.
By the time you arrived there, they'll put you red carpet. The president
probably, yeah. Hopefully, I get received by lots of people at the airport.
Yes, yes. I think you should.
I think having been here since this whole TV show thing
happened,
I don't really know what's going on in Kenya, but I know I get lots of messages, encouraging messages from singers that I looked up to when I was younger in Kenya, and also my family is very proud
of what you've done,
of what I've accomplished.
No, they should be
so far, and it's just very. I love it. It makes me really emotional to think. I started from nowhere, especially in Kenya, where the industry is very tough and it's very much difficult to get to where you want to be. But you get recognized in a place where people don't even know you, in a foreign country like this.
Absolutely.
It's just,
and where there's a lot of massive talent base as well.
Yes, exactly.
And people with the kind of access and resources that they can use to get into that on that kind of show. But you just being picked out to be on that show is a massive achievement.
It is.
It is also a significant and very symbolic achievement for our community as well. So we I think from a personal point of view, it's a huge, inspiring story. It is also a massive achievement for our community that we need to be proud of. And so when you talk about bookings, I wonder whether you get booked by in African. No. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you that question until I think. Well, you know what? I am a strong music lover. I like music.
I can tell.
And I've spent. Well, I don't know if I've shared this story with you, and which I can share with other audience. So people that have known me for a while, they know that I was a DJ for a very long time.
Oh wow!
Yes, I spent 15 years. Listen, 15 years of my life.
Oh wow!
Working in nightclubs and events as a DJ.
Wow!
So I've listened and heard all sort of music from start up, from people that are just trying, from those that really cannot do anything in music, but they just have the love for music and think that they can hold the microphone and something will change. So what I mean by that, I've seen talent, I've heard talent, I've heard music from all different type of languages. And so it's wonderful. Please, we're going to sign off now. Thank you, Simon, so much. Simon Sims,
thank you so much
for your remarkable journey. Thank you so much for getting the time to come and share the story with us, with the Jambo Radio.
Thank you.
This is home to you, by the way. So anytime, you are more than welcome. So I really look forward to what the next step or the next stage for you is going to be. But we're here to give you all the support and ensure that you what The Voice has opened up for you is doors for people, for many people, and for many people that you're also going to support, to go through the process as a test and also going forward.
Thank you.
But I think I really appreciate you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
Excellent. That's good. So we're gonna sign off with Simon's other song. I think this one is not 4 years old. But let's see, what song is there now to play? Okay, that's right. Never Lie.
Never Lack.
Never Lack.
That's even older.
That's even older.
It's older than the one you played.
But anyway, that's what we have in the library. So we're going to sign off today. Thank you so very much, Simon, for coming in. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Really next week, Christiana Opoko takes over the show until BB is back. Watch out for this young multimedia talented journalist. She's joining Jambo Radio, and she'll be taking over the Saturday morning show so that I can then stay away in the back in the background and do the things that is necessary to be done. So Christiana Opoko is coming in next week Saturday to be on the show. So we sign out now with Simon's Neverlack. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Spotlight Media. I wanna be the one who never ever lies in you. I wanna be the one who never ever lies in you. I need your blessing, Father. I need your touch, Father. I need your blessing, Father. Sijaona mwaminifu akikosa mkate, wala mwenye haki kudharauliwa na wasiojiweza. Kwa nini mimi? Kwa nini mimi? Inue, nibariki, ili machozi ya